Okay, so Mike here, and if we are going to the Grand Canyon rim to rim, there's about 25, 28 of us as far as I know at this point, and what I've done is I put together a list of things that I carry in a loadout in my backpack for this kind of a trip, and this comes from experience doing hundreds of miles in the Sierras and a few Mount Whitney trips in a day. So we kind of build these simple things that we carry with us. We've built those in over time. Also, Seth Hunter's who's done a lot of long mileage day trips in the 50 miles as far as just high mileage trips. He also wrote a special piece for me on fueling, because fueling, hydration, all this preparedness stuff is so important going into a canyon like this. So I've got a list from him that I'll link to in the YouTube video, and then also just go quickly through a loadout of what I'm carrying and more importantly why I'm carrying it into the canyon. Okay, let's start from top. These are honey stingers. I'll be taking those into the canyon. They are quick energy pieces, and those are really important, and I found them useful. Started using those in training. I know Seth used them on Whitney and he liked them as well, so I'll be taking those. Probably 3 or 4 more. And then what's here? Then we have electrolytes. These are salt tablets. A lot of you'll hear a lot of talk about water and having enough water. What they miss is salt and electrolytes. If you drink too much water, that can cause another issue for you. Too much water and you are diluting all your minerals, and that's an issue. So you want to have enough, especially if you're sweating heavily. You want to have either salt tablets or powder. I take both because I don't want to mess with powder when I'm tired and going up a hill. I'd rather just pop a tablet, 1,000 milligrams of salt. Food bars are really popular on the trail. And so we go to the store and just about 90% of them are like this, and they're chocolatey on the outside, and this is what they look like when you open it. It's melted all over, and it's all over your hands, and it's a big mess. So if you're going to use a chocolate bar, find one and test it out before, that it's not melting everywhere in your pack as you pull it out. For food, this piece, which I've already started eating, of sourdough is going to be about 4 pieces of 4 sourdough sandwiches with almond butter I'll have on there. So they'll basically be almond butter and PB&J. I just did 7 miles, so I'm really hungry. So this will be about 4 sandwiches cut into small pieces like this. I won't be eating whole sandwiches. You want to eat a little bits at a time, little bites over time, and not huge meals because your body's under a lot of stress. So digestion is a little more difficult in the canyon. And one thing for sure is we never take anything into the canyon, for the most part, that we haven't already tested out, because your body's under a lot of stress. So eating something that you've never had before, you don't want to create upset in the stomach. So try to eat things that are familiar, that you've already eaten and tested out before we get into the canyon. Okay, another thing that's going to happen in the canyon is, because there's so many of us, and over 20 of us, it's likely going to happen early on that we're going to get spread out over several miles. We won't all be hiking together. This is just really common. Even with small teams like 8 people get spread out because everybody hikes at different paces. So you'll have faster people, you'll have people taking their time, and then you'll have kind of people in the middle. So that's likely going to happen. And so what we want to see, what I would love to see for everybody, is minimum 2-person team. So 3 to 5 would be ideal. You're hiking with a couple people that you know and you're familiar with, and you've hiked with them before, so you kind of know their pace. So 2 to 3 people would be ideal, or even up to 5. And then we've got, that's the minimum of 2 people, and everybody has a basic kit. They all have offline navigation for going through the canyon on your phone. So you can download the offline maps on all trails. I'll be using that. Ideally, we'd love to see everybody have a Garmin, but that's not an in-reach for reaching search and rescue, but that's not really likely. So only a few people will have those GPS communication satellite systems to get out to an outside source if something's gone wrong. So the easiest thing to do in those teams is to have someone knows basic first aid. You've got your blister kits, you've got your headlamps, you've got all the specialized things that somebody's carrying on that small team, and everybody can kind of then pool their resources. And so that's ideal for such a large party in the canyon. The main thing is that we don't want someone hiking alone by themselves. Someone gets injured by themselves and they are stuck. We don't want them left behind. So that's the ideal situation. You'll see a lot of medical tapes at the store that look like this. Medical tape for fixing wounds. This stuff should never go in the canyon. This stuff is horrible. In 10 feet, it'll come ripping right off your foot because your foot sweats and it doesn't have the sticking power. There's only one tape that works that I'm aware of, unless there's something else that's been invented. This is called Leukotape, and this stuff is incredible. It fixes blisters immediately. It will last. You can take showers with it for 6 days and it'll still be stuck on the back of your ankle, and that's what you want out there. You want something that sticks. So Leukotape, everybody should have some of that. If you notice, I have it on my trek poles. I have about 3 feet of it wrapped on the trek pole, so when I'm hiking, if I get a blister starting, which happens right away, as soon as you feel that burning sensation in your foot, you gotta stop, rip some of that tape off and put it right over the blister, and hopefully you catch it before it's really hurting, or you're gonna have to then take another 20 minutes and do a real proper bandage job. But if you can get to the burning sensation right away with a blister, you rip the tape off, you put it over the spot, and you're good to go. We've tested this many times. Leukotape. I have some on my chapstick. This is so I don't have to dig through my backpack. I can grab it right away on the trail, rip it off. I never have to dig into my pack, and I'm on down the trail. And then this is my other favorite thing for blisters, the infamous, I think Chad coined this term, the infamous toe condom or silicone sleeve. This works great on toe blisters. You got a blister in a very difficult spot to get to. This, you slip it right over, and it takes the pain off immediately, and you're on your way down the trail. We were on Mount Whitney. Some of the guys, the night before we were leaving, they're coming up to me going, "What do you wear for underwear? What do you wear for underwear?" And I'm like, "I don't know, it's kind of personal." But what turned out to be is, chafing is a big issue out there. Like, you get out there and you get moving and you start sweating, chafing abounds. So I wear like a dry fit, super thin short with a built-in liner. That is the thinnest I can possibly get, and it's worked for me for hundreds of miles. Things like Body Glide. Now this is way too big. I'd never carry something this big and heavy in my pack. Or the Green Goo First Aid is like a salve. This stuff is insane. It's so good. But they make smaller containers. I'll probably take just a little bit of this and put it in a much smaller container. Or, such proudly named, squirrel nut butter. Well, you can kind of guess where this needs to go. So this is a salve, and it's, again, for chafing. And I know it sounds funny, but chafing is an issue out there, a big issue. So I try to be as thin and lightweight as possible, and then I will carry some of this stuff with me for any spots, even on your chest. Your chestomachallus, I call it, or your nipples can chafe out there. Sweating, you don't know where you're going to sweat, and you don't know where rubbing is going to start to happen, and you got to have something with you. So the other thing you can do is put a Band-Aid over it, something, and then use the Leukotape. But if you get that Leukotape stuck to hair, well, I'm going to hear you in the canyon screaming.
No, Kelly Clarkson!
Okay, so a lot of us are going to be hiking in the canyon using the water bladders here. They're really handy, they work really well, but there's one major drawback that gets people into a lot of trouble and injured in the canyon with heat illness. Because it's in your pack, you can't see how much water you have left. A lot of people are skipping along in the canyon, drinking it all until it's almost empty. And if they're not near a water source and you run out, now you're stuck and you're in a real dangerous situation. So I like the bladders, but you need to know how much water you're carrying. So you will see me carry on my shoulder chest strap a smart water bottle. I can attach a life filter to this, a life straw, to filter that water if I need to. But this is how I gauge how much water I have left. Once I've burned through this, this is what I actually have, and I can see exactly what I have on my shoulder. I'm not guessing. Somewhere with a lot of heat in the Grand Canyon, that's something that you really want to have. Or you could put this water bottle in your side, on your side of your pack, in one of the pockets, side pockets, and you have a visual on your water. The other fastest way to work is with these are, you just scoop up the water, river water, whatever it is. They have a built-in filter on the top. You don't have to take the time to pump and filter your water. It's just scoop, screw it on and go. So I've used those before in Whitney. Very handy. So water's essential down there, but these can get you in trouble with running out of water and not knowing it. Nobody pulls over and empties their pack to see how much water they have. Nobody does that, and that's an issue down there. If you're taking trek poles, I highly recommend them. You're going to want gloves. These will keep your hands from getting blisters because you're carrying those poles for several miles, and blisters will start to form on the palm or on fingers. So again, Leukotape would save that injury really quick, but these just make it easy. Also, while I have these here, these are gaiters for your shoes. No one's hiking in boots. I hope no one's wearing hiking boots. We've established long ago that no hiking boots on these kind of trails because blisters abound and you'll end up with blisters all over your feet. We use shoes like Speed Goats Ultras, or Speed Goat is Hoka, and those we've used on Whitney and for hundreds of miles probably, and they work really well. So yes, trail shoes are what's going through this canyon. That's going to make it more efficient and easier on your feet, especially if your feet get wet at all for any reason. They dry faster. If you're wearing boots that get wet at all, it's over. You're going to get blisters everywhere. So these are gaiters. They cover the tennis shoe. This makes up for what the boot doesn't have. This covers the top of the shoe, so you're not getting pebbles and dirt and everything inside the shoe, and you got to stop, empty your shoe every 20 feet if you're in a high dirt area. So I carry those on my over my tennis shoes. You can find those most places online. They're just shoe gaiters for hiking. Okay, this is my breathable overnight emergency bivvy. Probably my heaviest item that I will carry. Everything else will be ultralight, and this is still lightweight, but it's not too bad. I don't know. It's in the ounces, but this can serve many different functions. In a rescue situation where you've rolled an ankle, you're injured, you've fallen, you're stuck. Rescue doesn't come sometimes for 2, 4, 8 hours. Sometimes not until the next day. It's not like the movies where they jump in the helicopter and race to you. They don't do that out there. It'll take a couple hours just to assess your situation and where you are. So while you're sitting there for hours, this could be great to keep the bugs off of you. This could be made into a shelter to keep the sun off of you. This could be cut into pieces to work if there was a downpour and all of a sudden you needed a poncho. So this is just an emergency bag for a lot of different coverages, especially if you got stuck overnight. That would be the worst case. You're overnight and you didn't plan on it. You're climbing into this for a little bit of protection from the elements, and then also this particular one breathes. I didn't want a sweat box while traveling through a sweat box. So some of them they have are just literally there's no breathability to them, and so those can be pretty warm if you got stuck. You will likely see me carry this microfiber towel on the trip. It's very lightweight microfiber. This is for sweat and dirt. And this is also if we're in a canyon area and we've got access to water, I will tear down to the river or the creek and I will soak it, and I will put that around me and soak myself with this towel and try to keep it wet. So again, that's a lightweight, handy tool. It could also work as a bandana, as a sling. It can work, again, multiple use. This is the Garmin InReach. This connects to multiple satellites. Even in the canyon, you just have to have an open area to the sky. Most people won't have these, but they are extremely valuable in the backcountry, and Search and Rescue recommends you carry one. So if something happens and someone's injured, your partner could flag somebody down. You're looking for someone carrying one of these. These are really great. They can text out. They can text to people at home. They can text to Search and Rescue. They can coordinate a rescue with these, and I've had to do that, not with this, but in other situations where we had to coordinate a rescue but wouldn't leave on a long distance trips without that. Okay, a couple of the things that I thought of weren't in the first list of things was obviously we're going to take sunblock. That's pretty basic. Small amount was best. Then, of course, sunglasses. You're going to want some glasses. I'll be taking those, but something that is a must is a headlamp. You're going to want a headlamp for descending 5,000 feet in the dark. This is essential, part of the essential kit, and also a set of spare batteries is ideal. Also, with your phone and your watches, putting those into airplane mode are going to save those batteries. So I'll probably have a list that I carry with me of what I do before I step off trail. First aid kit. This kit's got way too much stuff in it. It's going to only have stuff for blisters, maybe a pair of scissors, but primarily blister kit and a few bandages. And then also a parka. It's a shell only. It's a thin shell, so it's lightweight, sheds wind and water. We are leaving from 8,000 feet at night, descending, so it's a good chance it'll be cold up there. So usually I have a pair of lightweight pants that sit over my shorts, and as soon as the weather changes and warms up, I peel the pants off, throw them in the pack, and I'm ready to go. So that's basically it. I'll just list out a kit in a PDF as well, along with Seth's great fueling strategy, and then you'll have a list of things that we're all carrying.